The Living Zen-podcast is a gift from the members and associates of the Victoria Zen Center to you. If you enjoy it, please be sure to let your friends know about Living Zen. If you'd like to support our community, here are a few ways that you can do it. Download the Living Zen podcast app for iPod, iPhone, or Android. You can also purchase additional Zen Talks by Venerable Eshu on iTunes or Amazon.com. One of the most meaningful ways to show your support is by joining our Sangha as an associate. Your commitment of $10 a month will ensure that offerings like the Living Zen podcast and our online eZendo will continue to be available around the world to everyone with an interest in truly living Zen. To become an associate, please visit our website at www.zenwest.ca and click on the membership tab. Thank you for your support. So first off, I just want to welcome all of the members and associates of the Zenwest Buddhist Society. Zenwesties. As of our annual general meeting on Wednesday, the official name of our organization has been changed to Zenwest Buddhist Society. So, welcome. It's interesting for me, these Sangha Sunday sits, because they are such a mix between offering an opportunity for people to engage in formal practice at the Zendo, but I still have to maintain kind of friendly. And it's funny because I have this, I don't know if it's just the space or routine, but I have an edge. So when I see things sort of out form-wise, I make a correction. And I always have to kind of leash myself in a little bit on these Sangha Sundays into a more sort of explanatory mode because we have people who haven't been here for a Sunday sit before. So the first thing I want to say is much of the form is recorded on video. We have it available on the website. So if you're unsure about something, or if you're not sure I'm talking to you, check the website, look at the form, walking meditation, the sitting instruction, all of the stuff around form. We have instructional videos on. That's in your hands. And so when you come to Sundays, the responsibility for knowing the form is yours. And the response to when we're out of line is corrections here. It's not like a Tuesday when you come out to the Zendo in Suk. This is formal practice, and it is your responsibility to know the form. So just a couple of quick notes is if you need to use the washroom, it's totally fine for you to do that during the walking meditation. That's the appropriate time to do it. Here at the Zen Center, we have a washroom upstairs, as I think everybody knows. There's also a washroom available to practitioners downstairs, just off of the long hallway on the left. So we try to make the walking meditation long enough that everybody, even in a big Zendo, has an opportunity to use the washroom if you like. This transition, this change to Zen West, I think is just really well timed. We're sort of moving into a new season, approaching summer, where we've sort of rounded a corner with our research on property acquisition and really sort of recommitting to this space that we're in. We had our first Zen West work day yesterday, and although just 4 people came out, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, a tremendous amount of work was done. To an onlooker, it's very difficult to sort of see progress if you don't know what you're looking at, but from the perspective of my deck, for me, over the past few weeks, lots been being done in preparation for some exciting changes, looking at building some hermitages to be used. The idea behind them is that they are going to be used for residential practice. Shorter term or longer term is not clear yet, but that the energy in our practice, the energy in our community to develop and to continue to offer more and different ways to engage with this practice is becoming more tangible, I guess the word would be, more felt. Standing in the woods, working with some other Zenwesters, Zenwest folk, getting the feel for creating kinhin trails through the woods so that we're not walking up and down the road, but really immersing ourselves, engaging with the space that we're in, co-creating the Bodhi Mandala, the seat of awakening. This spirit of mutual responsibility, this spirit of accepting responsibility for our part in something that is much, much bigger than us, is a big, significant part of Zen practice. And it's manifested throughout the form in so many ways. There are many corners in Zen practice where it would be easier for us to take care of ourselves, to just do the thing that seems straightforward when we only are thinking about where we're at individually. And I've seen some examples today, just little things where, we enter the zendo and our seat is maybe one of the last ones on the opposite side, and we say, I'll just cut across. But the form is to acknowledge, first of all, that you're entering into the place of practice, that this space is a place where we engage in a practice together with a community and with an environment. And that when we step into that, there is a form that we maintain. And so we walk around the whole space to arrive at our seat. The reason being that it creates a clarity for everybody who's in the zendo. It creates a form which allows everything, all of the functions of the zendo to flow smoothly and harmoniously with everybody. And for most of us, I think, maybe for all of us, in this culture, which is really focused on getting our personal needs met, it's a change of gears we have to make when we come into Zen practice. And a real cue is sort of when we come into the space to really have this mind of being of benefit to all beings. And this is the Bodhisattva vow. How do I manifest being of benefit to all beings? And the question alone is an interesting one, because as soon as we say all beings, already we acknowledge our relationship. We acknowledge that we are not alone in this cosmos. We acknowledge that everything, every act, every word, every interaction is intimately connected, intimately related to all things in this cosmos. This morning I read an article by Sakyong Mipham Rinpoche, the head of the Shambhala organization, on using technology and understanding that the use of technology is not separate from the law of karma, cause and effect. When we send a text or email, these things are actions, and they take place in the world of cause and effect. When you do things, whether they're on our electronics, whether they're in the form that we use, they have an impact, they have a ripple. And the form that we use teaches this over and over and over again. And it can seem totally mundane. It can seem totally like, oh God, why do we get so caught up in this? But we see what happens. Another place where I saw the lesson today is in something simple like when we're coming in or going out for walking meditation. Maybe the person in front of us has a little bit more complex shoes and takes a little bit longer to take their shoes off or put them on. And when we don't consider our relationship, when we don't consider our impact on the whole, our relationship with all beings, this principle of harmony, we can just pop our shoes on and off and sort of cut around and go ahead. But this causes a ripple for the people in front of us, for the people behind us. Now the person who's struggling with their shoes goes, oh God, I've got to hurry up and cut in front of that person in line because we also have to stay in the order that we're in. When we're coming in, if we just pop our shoes off and slap them wherever they are, we've got people cutting around each other and everybody comes in and then we've got to shuffle all around in the zendo and everything like this. Just take a breath. There's this common sort of thread in the form of Zen where it's like, if you look at like a wave or the wave, when you go to a sporting event and someone goes, woo! And the next person goes, actually maybe we can do this. Hey, Sonia, do you want to start the wave around the Zen? Everyone kind of open your eyes. Do you know the wave where you stick your hands up and go, woo! Woo! Okay, so we can do it. So this is something that comes up a lot in Zen form because there is a relationship that's required. And even in the sporting event, when it's happening, there is an energy that comes with it because there's a connection that's required for that act to happen. It goes around, and sometimes it goes around and around and around, and after a few times, everyone starts to get really bored with it. And when it's happening and everybody's connected to it and excited, it is a powerful connector that is a strong teaching of causality and interrelationship. And when we get tired of it or bored of it, or we're not aware of it, there's nothing like sort of sitting there and texting and realizing that the wave has just gone by, right? And you're like, oh, what happened there, right? And so sometimes when we're using meal form, particularly like at Genjo's place, there's a part in the meal form where like the bowls go on and off the table and you can't do it until the person beside you does it. And so there is that sort of same wave that happens, boom, 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 down the thing. And everybody is connected. And the same goes with like coming in and out, taking your shoes off. We all have to be patient. And if you pop your shoes off and you've got them in your hand, this is another thing. You can just sort of jump in and try to put your shoes on where they are. But this prevents everybody in front and behind you of doing what they need to do, which is getting to their shoes. So you just pick up your shoes. So when we're coming out the door, the way that it goes is the first person goes, second person goes, third, fourth, down the line. And you can be putting your shoes on sort of just a little bit out of the way. It takes a second, but it allows the people behind you to get their shoes. Likewise, when we come in, the first person takes off their shoes, not kicking them off in line, but take them off, and the next person does, and the next person does. So coming in, the shoes go dum 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 dum, just like the wave. Nobody's in each other's way. There is a harmony. No one has to juggle around with where they are. and we're able to just come in harmoniously. Now, this seems like a total, like Eshi's going on about these crazy details. But what we have to understand is that what happens internally, what's the difference between when we follow this form which accounts or allows for this harmony, and what happens when we don't internally? What happens between the mind and the heart? Suddenly we find ourselves having to scramble, having to sort of figure out, having to sort of get ourselves back into where we are supposed to be, and we completely engage this sort of thinking, conceptual activity. And while we're here in this body of practice, practicing together as a harmonious group, our job, our practice, what we're engaged in, is allowing that high-frequency think mind to settle down a little bit, and to allow the energy that's created by practicing together to carry us forward in harmony. Now, certainly in Zen there are points, there are times where we need to break out, we need to act independently, and we're asked to, it's demanded of us. But when we're engaged in this sort of formal communal practice, sitting and walking, that aspect of harmony, the fundamental realization, praticca samutpada, interdependent co-origination. Walking meditation is one of the best places for it. When we're walking in step, if we don't pay attention, if we're not completely with the activity of walking, we fall out of step. And when we fall out of step, then everybody behind us falls out of step. And that's our responsibility. We see that our lack of awareness, our momentary pause, our momentary rise of thought, has impacted the world. And so we say, oh, how insignificant. Just a little bit of gap, everyone fell out of step. Big deal. As soon as I realize that I can come back into step, and so can they. But this is a powerful teaching, because if we're in an environment that's structured to allow us to function harmoniously, everything about it, we're wearing the same kind of clothes, we're doing all this marching in step and everything like this, and all that's required is that we keep in step. And our momentary lapse in mindfulness has consequences. The question is, how many lapses in mindfulness do you have every day that have consequences that you're completely oblivious to? How many people are you impacting negatively, positively, otherwise, that you're completely oblivious to because we're unaware of, first of all, where we are as individuals, but more than that, how unaware are we of our relationship, our intimate connection to all things, all beings in this vast cosmos. This practice that we're engaged in is not about developing some conceptual understanding of the teachings of a guy who lived 2,500 years ago. What he was teaching about was waking up now, becoming awake now, accepting responsibility for the activity that is your life now. And so it's not different taking responsibility for this life in the context of a formal practice, where the guidelines are sort of clearly laid out, where the form is structured and there to support this awareness. There's no difference between this and any other aspect of your life when you're with your partner or in your job. It's just that things are a little bit easier here. So our job, our practice, our opportunity, what we do here, what we support each other in doing, is again and again turning back into this moment of our lives, this moment that's unfolding in front of us, whether it's sitting, whether it's walking, whether it's chanting, whether it's socializing afterwards, whether it's using the washroom, whether it's whatever. This is the moment, this is the activity, this is the only place that we have to engage in our lives. And if we're to call ourselves students of Zen, our practice is just to grasp it, just to engage in it, just to dive in to this unfolding activity. This place that we create, this space, whether we're talking about just this single room, the meditation hall, or whether we're talking about creating a whole sacred space, a little oasis of mindfulness, where even the moment that you step onto that property, you say, "Oh, pay attention, wake up." This is what we create together. This is the value of having a community where we can come together to create this place, a church, if you like. I don't like the word myself, but a sacred space where our primary function is awakening. And every tree, every trail, every structure, every bell, every sound is a call to us to return to our lives. Let go of the past, let go of the future, and engage in what's happening in your life, in this moment, in this activity. There's nowhere else for you to be. There's nothing else for you to do. When we support one another, when we engage in this harmonious functioning together, there is this tremendous joy, this tremendous energy, this wonderful and intimate connection with this universe, with this cosmos as something bigger than ourselves. We find that we are not just this independent, lonely wave floating around on the surface, but we recognize that we ourselves, even manifesting as a wave, are intimately connected. We're one. We're not different from the vast depths of the ocean. When we look at every other wave, suddenly we realize, also myself. There's nothing missing. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to acquire already. I am home.
Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.